Today on the Backpocket podcast, we have the content machine. Let's welcome Michael and Tyler. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. Doing really good.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Cool. And just for the listeners, it's a darn shame if you're not watching on YouTube, but for the listeners here, who is Tyler and who is Michael?
I'm Tyler Perry. Easy to remember that name. Looks like Medea, just not as tan or as rich. And then this is Michael.
I am Michael. I don't have a cool intro. Tyler. Michael Mazzatelli.
Nice. Wait, whoa. That sounds like a backyard baseball last name, dude. You sound like a backyard baseball character. Michael Mazzatelli.
If you pick me, I throw sauce at the pitcher, screw him up a little bit. You got a couple extra home runs in there, have some special abilities, 100%. It's pick Mazzatelli over Pablo. That's usually who you pick first in backyard baseball, but yeah.
Yeah, you got Mazzatelli, you got Tony Delvecchio, you got Keisha Phillips, but you're right in there, man. You're in the mix.
Oh, right on. And Tyler, I have to say, dude, you look like Mayor Jacob Frey.
Thank you. I think that's a thank you response. I don't know. He's the Minneapolis mayor still, right?
Still, yeah. We've actually never met the guy, but I know he gets so much shit nowadays. I don't know if a lot of people like him, but I'm just saying you kind of look like him. You can take it as a compliment.
I've been booed about as much as he has too. Just publicly, people just will boo at us when we screen some of our short films. They'll kind of yell at us, kind of like how they did at him. So,
are you serious?
Well, it's happened a couple times. People have yelled some stuff. There's this.
People yell.
There's a local festival that goes on every month called Scream It Off Screen, and after 3 minutes, this light comes on, and everyone screams whatever they want. And if you don't like it, you scream gong, and they gong it. They just gong it in the middle of it and move on to the next thing if they don't like it. And then people yell, "Let it play." But we got people have yelled stuff at our stuff before. They didn't like it, but whatever.
So you're telling me you're getting hella vulnerable up there, putting your content out for the masses. And
Exactly.
They're throwing tomatoes at you.
Yeah, exactly. I advise people not to do that. Don't ever let anyone know who you are or what you really think. Never show the real you.
Always hide yourself.
Always mask, always disguise who you are.
100%.
Wise advice, dude. I love that. I would say the same. Never show your true colors.
Hopefully, hopefully there's a lot of kids listening to this podcast. They're gonna learn a lot of good things today.
We're laying the foundation.
Yes. Foundation they'll have for the rest of their lives.
Right.
100%.
Don't wear anything on your sleeves. Wear long sleeves, actually, if anything.
Yeah. Maybe the sweatshirts that actually kind of have the gloves built in, just really cover up. Just do not show yourself your true colors. Always hide your emotion.
Yeah, those kids who would wear those, those are the kids you don't want to bully too hard, in junior high. You know what I mean?
You don't know what they're capable of.
Yeah, you don't want to find out
what they're gonna do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a tough world out there, kids. Just to let you know, and let four white podcasters tell you that first and foremost.
Yeah,
100%. We know the true horrors of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right on, dude. Well, I gotta be honest, man. We found you guys through Lisa Evanson when you guys had her as a feature actress on your guys' short clips. We then dove in even more, and we were just completely wowed. For the people who are listening, the interns out there, Content Machine just does a bunch of short clips. From what I know, you guys are based in the Twin Cities, and you guys are popping off on TikTok. It's fun to watch, man.
Yeah, we do 99% sketches.
Yeah,
we've done a couple of longer short films, but we're definitely not known for those.
Yeah, for the most part, we keep it around 60 seconds, just because that's what people seem to like on TikTok. And yeah, most people after they watch our stuff, kind of like what you said, they're either like it or hate it or don't know what to say half the time. So that's a pretty typical reaction, I'd say.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, you're looking for that quick emotion. You're pulling strings. You got the quick cuts, and the effects to go along with it. I'm not sure if you want to take it down this route yet, Deck, but I was going to jump into the creation story and get a little background to the Content Machine. I would love to hear how you two got connected. I mean, from what Declan mentioned, we're later into the game. We're recent fans. So if you get a little background, and also to the Backpocket interns, a little bit of context of your creation story.
Yeah, as the legend goes, we met in the sandbox at Tanglin Elementary School in 4th grade.
Yep.
It's also true, but that is the legend. And then we've been making videos since then, and our parents didn't let us hang out very much. It was sort of a Romeo and Juliet type of love story. But eventually we found our way back to each other. And then high school, we really started to we probably made 2 hours worth of sketches in high school, maybe a little less, an hour and a half.
Talk about big.
Yeah.
Wow. 5 hours.
Yeah. But I'm proud of that, of being able to do that in high school. And it's not good necessarily, but we put out the volume. And then it was time to pick a major in college, and we both picked the same major, and then kept doing it. And then we have been doing it ever since, but more recently in the last 2 or 3 years have actually let's try to do this.
Right on.
Yeah.
So as kids, you guys were wearing your emotions on your sleeve, I'm assuming, and your parents were like, no, this is not how this works, and they cut you off.
Yeah, our parents were the first ones to ingrain in us to always hide your true colors from other people. So shout out mom, shout out dad, wherever you are.
Yeah, if you never put yourself out there, you never get hurt. If you never get married, you can't get divorced.
Exactly.
So it's one of those things.
Kids, stay single, stay scared of people. And once again, hide your emotions. Yeah, to fill in the holes. So the first thing we ever made, we were probably about 10 years old. Tyler's mom had a video camera. We made a short film called The Alien Movie, which it was so bad, but we loved it. And then kind of throughout high school, we started to make just videos, and there was in high school, there was 4 levels of video production. So we went through all 4 levels, I think together. And then senior year, we actually made a 5th level. We had to talk to the principal. So we've been doing sketches for over 10 years now, which is crazy. And then through college, I went to St. Cloud, Tyler went to St. John. So we were really close. We kept making sketches. And then after school, after college, we're wow, this is boring life. So let's, keep on making these videos. And like Tyler said, the probably last 4 years, we really have been okay, let's do this. And it's all that we've been putting stuff on YouTube forever. And then we started to put stuff on TikTok, and it started to kind of explode. So it's been good. And
going off the college thing, in Stearns County, the fun thing to do is drunk drive. And once we graduated, it wasn't fun anymore. So we got bored. So we had to start making skits, because you can't really do that, in the cities. That's a Stearns County thing.
Yeah, kids, you can only drunk drive up to about 22 years old, and then you got to grow up.
Yeah, it's not fun anymore.
That's not fun anymore.
Wow. Yeah. Some things definitely fade quicker than others. Drunk driving would be one of them for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's crazy. I didn't realize that you guys have been producing this type of sketch comedy forever. What was the inspiration behind even loving or finding the love for sketch comedy?
The floor is yours.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great question. I think growing up, we just were kind of goofy kids. We played sports, but a little bit nerdy. So a killer combination. But I think just we watched slapstick comedies, The Naked Gun. We just loved it. I think we just wanted to create the thing that we were laughing at when we were kids. And I think we've always liked to entertain people and make people laugh. Yeah, The Naked Gun, that movie, I think I watched it for the first time in your mom's basement. We were 11, and I haven't recovered from it yet. I'm still PG-13. You're young. We were young to watch that. Luckily, mom was upstairs, we were downstairs. So. I think it's R even. Yeah, that's what happens when your parents get divorced. You can kind of start sneaking around watching R-rated movies. Mom, I'm at dad's house. Dad, I'm at mom's house. Okay. Nobody knows where you are. You can do whatever you want. So yeah, if you're going through a divorce, once again, kids, you're going through a divorce, it's all good. 2 Christmases, nobody's gonna know where you are. You're gonna be free. That's incredible. Yeah, nothing but motivational advice here. Yeah, no, that's so cool. It's when I was watching your guys' stuff, I was like, this is kind of a revamped, shorter in terms of what you guys are doing right now. It looked to me, it seems like more of a shorter, quicker version of a Key and Peele, where it's they have these twists
at some point, probably not right away in your sketch, but like there's a random twist towards the end that just makes you die laughing. Like I literally went through your entire TikTok discography at least, and the ones I just laughed at so hard were the how the side character always gets introduced in movies, and you guys did them like 3 or 4 times, and each time it just got way raunchier to the point where you guys couldn't even hold it together. I just have to commend you on that kind of humor and like the thoughtfulness that you guys put in, like for the people listening, like they need to know like you guys are incredibly creative on how you guys like twist your shows. So just wanted to say good job on that.
Yeah, with the Key and Peele thing, like one of the things that I learned from that show with like sketch comedy is it's basically a 3-act structure, premise, heighten the premise, twist.
Yes.
So they basically set up what the joke is. Like have you seen the one with the hats where they have like the fresher and fresher hats with more tags?
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone with the box on the hat. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like the woman, like the sweatshop. So they like heighten it all the way. And then they always like will twist it at the end. And it was like, oh, they always do that with every skit. And like, that's something we've like tried to do. Like we're not always, it's sometimes hard to find like that perfect ironic twist, but we try to like set up, heighten the premise all the way and then twist.
Yeah.
It's more complicated than that, but
yeah, I
but
mean,
not that much more complicated.
I mean, I'd say Key and Peele for sure is an influence on, we've been doing it for a while. So we kind of have our system down. We have our style down for how we like to do it. And I'm sure everybody's different exactly how they do their sketch comedy. But I would say for sure, like a super dark twist is like a pretty big staple of our comedy.
Yeah, at least a few years ago, especially.
Yeah, TikTok actually, I think really helped us because they're like pretty, they censor a lot on TikTok.
Chinese, so you guys know.
Yes. So it forced us to, we used to end all our skits with like somebody dying, basically. Like somebody would just get shot and die every skit. And TikTok forced us not to do that. We couldn't have any guns or knives.
No guns. And that that was like a crutch for us.
We were like,
okay, we have to
what are we gonna do here? Like we can't shoot anybody at the end of this thing, like just as a quick out. So
and keep it short. And it was
short.
like, I think it helped us like, I don't know, it like forced us to do stuff that's like not, pulling out a gun.
It was like the golden ages of like Hollywood when they had like the censorship board. It was like they forced them to be more
creative, literally.
Yeah, so TikTok forced us to be more creative. And how do we like torment people, basically?
Exactly, because you can like, if you have an idea and you just say it straight up, like I have this idea and like, I want to kill you.
Yeah.
Like they might censor it. They won't censor that, but something like that. But if you can do it like symbolically and beat around it, it gets around the censorship, and it's usually a stronger choice. It's usually funnier because the audience has to do a little work. So it's like, it's like helping us. Actually, if they didn't censor it, like those things, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the filling in the gaps always better. Like, here's a great story. Tyler ran ads one time to like follow him on Twitter. He was like posting ads all over the city, and he had
radio ads, KWB.
Yeah, those. But you wanted to post these ads in the bathroom, and they wouldn't let you do it. But what were like?
Yeah.
He had like a threat on the bathroom. They wouldn't let him do it, but like
it was like it was basically like follow or like I'll kill you. And the ad people said like you can't say that. And then it was, so I just like did the opposite, and I can't remember. It was like,
follow me and I won't kill you.
It was like, it was something like that simple, and it got passed. And I was like, okay, like whatever. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we had some on KWB that was great too. There was one like Obama.
Oh yeah, there's like at Fiverr.com they have like an Obama impersonator, and I think this was. Yeah, Obama was still president. So it was like, it was like $10 and you could get this guy to read like 50 words in like his Obama voice. And I was like, okay, so it was like this 30-second radio ad. And it was like, sir, what's the situation in like the Middle East? And he's like, no, I want like the real questions. It's like, sir, what do you think about @Tyler John Perry's Twitter? Like, I think it's a great account, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's from Obama. And, like, I don't know. It was kind of, that's a little off topic.
It was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Yeah, no. Well, I think what I love about like you two and your dynamic already is just like you guys are incredibly passionate about just like making people laugh and just being creative, and I think that just rocks ass. But I would love a little bit of context. So who works at KDWB, or who was like why were you even trying to get people to follow you on Twitter to begin with? Like, what's kind of the backstory there?
Yeah, so I was working on this like sort of personal project called Verified, where I was trying to get verified on Twitter for literally no reason, like famous for being famous type of thing. Like, like all these people on TikTok now, I was just trying to like see if I could be the guy who got famous for being the guy who tried to get famous. It was like very stupid and very meta. But so I was like running these ads. There are 8 parts of them on YouTube, like, I don't know, 5 years ago.
The YouTube.
Our YouTube channel. But like some of them were successful and some of them are like kind of like weird, but
it wasn't really for anything. We like
it was just for fun.
Our dream, we always talk about our dream is to be rich and then just like mess with people in Minneapolis, like just do crazy things that just like fuck with people.
Yeah,
so
live like a normal life and then use that money to like have people like, God, they spend money on that.
Yeah, like just run billboards that like are weird. Like we
like
talk about
and just
dressing up as like a monster around like East Lake the Isles and just grabbing, like I just come out, grab Tyler and just throw him back in the water, and people are just like in front of like 10 people. Don't even record it. Yeah, don't release a video. Just
for our own personal.
Like, those 10 people think there's a legit monster in East.
Yeah,
Lake.
exactly.
So
they have to live with that now. And
yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Like, what the hell? What happened that day? Wait, we don't talk about it.
Honey, how was your day? Well, you wouldn't believe what I saw in my run.
You literally won't believe what's going on. Yeah. So anyways, there isn't much context to that story besides I think we like to be creative and we like to just do weird things, and they don't always have a purpose.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Dude, the purposeless actions are the best. I mean, that's when you can get the most creative, and there's really no intention behind it.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Deck and I, we need to get a little more creative, but definitely in that regard. We definitely tried it. I think the most creative we got was when we hosted a Coachella themed boat party in Stillwater, Minnesota, and we handed out flyers to old people, and we wanted them to come on to the boat because our tagline was the Roaring 20s. Let's bring back the Roaring 20s. So we wanted to get all the old people on the boat.
Yeah.
And mic'd ourselves up and we're like, let's go have a rip roaring time. The sun's out. Let's bring the old people aboard and bring back the lost art. Everyone talks about the Roaring 20s. I want to experience it.
Did they show up?
You dreamed of, but
how old were you dreaming?
I was dreaming of like 85, 90. Coming on with the crutch and some tennis balls and their cane. That was my hope, at least.
Like a Rose on the Titanic type of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand that because if you live to be 80, you're bound to have like 2 or 3 decent stories in your life. And this is maybe biased, but I think people from that era, they're all kind of like the same because they all had to do like the same kind of thing. Like they all had to but now, like, I wonder when we're old, it's like you can live the spectrum of the life you can live is so much wider. Like people from 1920, no one was that like fat and no one was that like in shape. But now it's like you can be that fat. There are enough calories, there's enough food, and you can be that fit because there's enough like information on the internet about supplements and diet and exercise and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I think it's like getting wider and wider. And I don't know where this point is going, but it's interesting. Like when we're old, like you can have such a different life from someone who lived like, near you in Minnesota.
I mean, 100%. I mean, you could freeze your food and hang on for it for 3 years. Back in the 20s, I don't think you could do that. I mean, you were having to eat it or you threw it away. So you have one metabolism across the board. They're either eating it or they're throwing it away.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I didn't consider with when we pitched those old people was like we were asking for just a liability on the boat. I never thought about the idea that like someone that old could get hurt. Because and everybody, the funniest part was like people were calling us out and they're like, what a terrible premise. Like someone from the 1920s is 100 years old. They would have to be born in 1920. Like, there's no way that you could have possibly gotten someone old enough who could have lived the 1920s like you guys are explaining. And I was like, damn.
There's probably some families with just like 100-year-old grandpa that didn't like, just like circling like Boatcella, like max out the life insurance, throw him on that boat.
Was it a success otherwise, Boatcella?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah. It's a good time.
The big success came from Coachella saying you can't use our name and just dropped a cease and desist on us.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So we had to change the name about 30 days in advance from Boatcella. We contacted a patent lawyer and she said, and then we asked her if we can use the name The Boat Party that got a cease and desist from Coachella. And they said, and the patent lawyer said, that's a fact, you can use it. So we rebranded to that and ended up selling the event out because I honestly think that name had more legs than Boatcella.
That's awesome.
That's an amazing
that's great.
name. Yeah.
That's creative. That's very creative.
Yeah.
That's what you can do when you're nothing, when you're nobody. You can kind of like, you can do things like that are so funny. Like my background and Tyler's like background is kind of in advertising. Everybody wants to go viral, right? Everybody wants to go viral, but nobody kind of knows what it takes to go viral. It's like that kind of stuff is the stuff that goes viral. You have to put yourself out there. You have to change it up. You have to be different. Like if people see it before, people have seen it before, nobody's going to care. They're just going to keep moving. So it's like something like that. It's like, that is funny.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. It's like, I'm going to stop and see what it's all about.
But once you get famous, then you can't, yank your crank in front of multiple people and then you get like canceled all of a sudden, like Louis C.K. style. So, you got to do those. You got to get them out of the way now is what I'm saying.
Another advice.
Oh, I haven't heard. Okay. That's a twist on it. I've always heard avoid yanking your crank in front of people, just avoid at all costs. But Deck and I, we're wildly average guys, two ordinary guys here in the Twin Cities. He's actually out in Arizona, just moved a year ago. But moral of the story is we don't have any fame to us. It's time to utilize some of this advice you're taking.
Start cranking. Start cranking.
It's time to start cranking away on our dreams here. It's so obvious. Yeah, I didn't really think about it that way. I guess if you do crank, just delete the evidence or crank away the evidence. Do something to get rid of it so that when you do go viral, like, you got to be the most prepared.
And obviously that's like a joke, but I do think there's like something about baking. Like, I don't know. Like, I think if you're trying to be like this, upstanding, squeaky clean type of person, and you take one step out of bounds, it was something less like egregious than what Louis C.K. did, they'll get you. But I have a feeling if you kind of are like, it's like the guys who would eat the cyanide for the king, they would eat like a little bit of arsenic every day and build up the tolerance. If you kind of like are doing kind of pushing it a little bit, you're like known as those guys, like the South Park, like Matt and Trey.
Yeah.
Why has that show not been like canceled? Those guys do way crazier stuff than like, some of the people I've seen who got like canceled and pulled off of like SNL, like Shane Gillis, the guy who got pulled off SNL. They like in South Park, those guys are like super rich. I don't know. It's like, but it's because they've been doing it for 25 years.
To recap your thinking, don't just crank 100% right away.
Yeah,
work
just
up to it.
Ease into it
a little bit. So then in the future, people will give you more rope when you do outrageous things.
Totally.
Thank you.
No, you guys are kind of growing consultants in the space. It sounds like what this really is becoming.
Yes.
I also just like a curious thing, like where do you guys what's kind of your creative process in terms of coming up with just different content that makes you laugh? Is it like observational, something that just kind of comes into your head one day, something that's going on around you? Like do you guys have like a typical way, or is there like a good story of just like how you found inspiration? I'd love to know.
Yeah, I think like observational for sure, which is like, quarantine kind of made it hard. Like I work from home right now and it's like, it's hard. I'm just inside going crazy all day. But I think literally just like going out in the world, seeing things, talking to people, like just like seeing headlines and just like, oh, that's like an interesting thing. I know Tyler's found ideas that way. And then we usually just like, we'll see things that we think are interesting. We'll come together. We'll kind of pitch them to each other. We'll kind of see if it has legs, if it makes Tyler laugh, it makes me laugh. We're like, okay, we have an idea here. And then like we'll go and write it and kind of go from there and then shoot it.
Sweet. I love that. Cause it's just funny to like see a lot of your content. I'm just like, how do these guys come up with some of this stuff? But it's so like relatable. Like the one you guys did with Lisa specifically, like the reading your dues for divorce. Like everyone who's been divorced in life could relate to that stuff. I just,
Our parents did that one.
yeah, that's a great one. Built from the ground up. That's a foundation joke.
Yeah, I mean, the one of the ones we just posted that did pretty well is like flirting in the workplace. And it was like I was going through, everybody has to go through this. I'm putting this disclaimer out right now, sexual harassment training at work. And there was like, they like bring you through modules, and like one of them was talking about like harassing like a coworker, and it was like, is it okay to like compliment a coworker on their clothing? And I was like, oh no. And they're like, yeah, no, that is okay, as long as they don't like take it as harassment. And I was like, oh, that's a little too like gray for like my, it's like harassment. You kind of like, you want to keep it black and white. You want like a clear line in the sand. So I like told Tyler that, and we just like started to laugh about it, kind of go through the situations of like, okay, what can we do with this? And yeah, I shot it and got like 700,000 views in the last couple of days. So
I think it's like partly we're trying to just see it like things differently, or like, I don't know if we just have like a warped like worldview just in us. And then when we see something, it's like, oh, this is obviously like XYZ. Like, I don't know if you saw the one we did called Honest Wedding Vows. You might have to scroll back a little bit, but it's like, you're the best I could do. Like, I'm fertile and need to have like basically that type of thing. And like, I see people getting married at this age, like on Instagram, and it's like, oh, that's obviously what's like going on here. It's like, how convenient is it that like, your soulmate is from the same hometown, socioeconomic class, like, and you happen to get married within the age of like, fertility, blah, blah, blah. You're starting to like, it's just like, oh, it's like on autopilot is what it feels like,
And if anybody listening if this is your story, just know that we're not talking about you. Right. And your love is true
different.
Love. You're different. So we're not talking about you.
My favorite thing about these like breakdowns of each story is exactly what you were talking about, Tyler, with the South Park like mindset is like okay, so maybe you're carrying yourself with a little bit more straight and narrow in your day-to-day. Sure, you have to. But like when you get into this comedy space, when you get into your creative energy, you're pushing the narrative in a different direction. You're like, okay, I'm gonna not aggressively, but I'm going to move your mind and your thoughts into a way it's like, oh shit, you went there. I don't feel comfortable. Because people need that. They're sitting in their comfortable life. They're going on autopilot. They're just hanging out. It's not doing them any good. So throw them a curveball, throw them a twist, pick up on that South Park, pushing the boundaries, and make them laugh at the same time. Because at the end of the day, when you mix in laughter, you're good. You can't get canceled. Everyone wants to hear it. Everyone wants to enjoy it.
Yeah, I like that. That's an interesting way to put it, because like, I think like super comfortable people are the like funniest people.
100%. They're the best.
They're like so easy to make fun of. I don't know. It's like mean, but like, they're not like
people that are comfortable, and people with like values that are very dug into the sand. Like they're very closed-minded. The closed-minded and comfortable people, those are like, they're just walking targets basically. It's like,
yeah,
those poor souls.
Yeah, you're not like a marginalized group being like lazy. You know what I mean? It's like you.
How dare you say that?
It's just funny, like kind of like picking on those people, even though it sounds kind of mean.
Well, I think like in today's day and age, things are getting very sensitive with speech, and like, what is comedy if not just freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and like pushing people. I mean, people definitely react. Like some people think our stuff is super funny. We love the people that think that they're actually the best and smartest people. And then there's some people that like don't like it, and they have like a really, adverse reaction, like really negative reaction, but that's okay too. It's like, that's great. I mean, I'd rather have that as the response to our content than lukewarm water. React. I mean, that's the whole point of art, is to make people feel something and to like move them in either direction.
Yeah, going off that, two things. One is point. Most of the stuff we see locally in like the local Minneapolis like film community, like they call them passion projects, but there's zero passion behind any of these things. These people are like dead on the inside and like,
Fuck.
I have a face. And I was like,
We call that the
Recording
Howie
in
Mandel
progress.
thing. You know, Howie Mandel from America's Got Talent, like his reaction to everything is just like just expression wide open.
But going off the polarization type of thing, you guys might find this interesting. It might be relevant to your podcast, but we
the listeners will find
the listeners, the interns is what you guys have been calling them. Okay.
Thank you.
marketing interns.
There's this book I read called Dataclysm, and it's about the guy who founded OkCupid. Wrote a book about all the data that he had. He had like access to how people like swiped and connected on OkCupid, like millions of like data points. Okay. And one of the interesting things is you would like rate people 1 to 5 stars. So if they're ugly, it's a 1. If they're hot, it's a 5-star.
We call that the Tyler Mars Michael scale, actually, where Tyler's the ugliest and the best looking Michael. That's the scale. That's how we call it in this house, actually.
But they like one of the most interesting thing I remember from the book was if you were going to rate some, like, let's say we both had 3-star ratings, and 100 people rated me as a 3, and 150 people rated him as 1, and 50 people rated him as 5. So we're both still 3s, but he would get like 10 times the amount of messages because 50 people thought he was a 5. No one's going to message a 3. You know, not many people. But if it's a 5, they're going to message him. And the 1s, well, the minimum threshold for like messaging was like a 4 anyway. So if someone thinks you're a 1 or you're a 3, it almost doesn't matter because you're not like getting them anyway. It's kind of a weird like anecdote, but that's how we've tried to like frame it a little bit because and people who hate you can like promote you too, which has also happened, I think, with us.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. You know, you're talking about you got to have your extremes, your 5s, and your antis, your anti-vaxxers, your 1s, and and you're talking to 2 guys who have made a living off of being the 3s.
Sure.
We are as average as they come. Nothing, never peak higher, never drop lower, and maybe that's why no one's messaging us. You know, we're not dialing it up. We're not peacocking in a way to bring out a 5. You're looking at 2 ordinary average guys. But yeah,
I think to the point is like this world is so goddamn fragile to a certain point that it's like it makes everything so easy. Like being the guy in the middle, just like watching these crazy people, the 5s and 1s operate around you. You're like, oh, you guys are easy to not to manipulate, but to get a rise out of. Like I'm the oldest of 5 in my family, and like as the oldest brother, I was always picking on my little sisters and brothers, and my brother, and like it was only fun to make fun of the certain ones that would react to what you fucking said. And like I would say in this world now, because we're all so connected, it's so easy to like get a reaction out of people. But like if you're the one who just stays even keel the whole time, and we're trying to poke the bear and you don't do anything, then like obviously that just doesn't, we don't get a rise out, like nothing really happens. It kind of just fizzles out. So that's why it's kind of interesting, like where you guys are at now. It's like you guys are just trying to like poke the bear at just different things that make you laugh. Hopefully that make other people laugh. But it's also like great when people get pissed.
Yeah, I mean,
It's kind of fun.
yeah,
It is very fun.
The thing about TikTok is what I felt like you could post anything on TikTok and people will be offended, like literally like anything. And I think like it's like we don't care is like the message I'd love to send out to everybody. Like it's so funny to like we did something where it was like we were in like a graveyard. We did a graveyard hype video, if you guys remember the hype video trends. So it was basically that I'm in the graveyard.
He's mourning.
I'm mourning my dad's death. Tyler comes up to me like, hey, let me make you a hype video. And we make a hype video around me like putting flowers on my dad's grave and
Crying,
stuff.
yeah.
And like, you know, all in good fun, but like this, I remember we had some comments like, this isn't funny. Like my dad just died. I don't find this funny. It's like, yeah, I don't care.
Like we were not attacking
Like,
you.
I'm not attacking
I don't know you.
You know, there's like a person that dies every second on earth and is born. I don't care about either one of the people coming and going. It's like, I'm like, people on TikTok are very like, this is my life, feel bad for me. You know, like, it's like, yeah, there's no like, oh, I see your perspective. This is my perspective. Let's meet in the middle. People are very like, no, my thing that I care about trumps the things that you care about, because like I'm going to scream about them as loud as possible.
And one last thing about like, on TikTok, you can stitch someone. So it's like a video response in like within the video. And one of the funniest things that like we started to notice is we did one, which was it was about a plus size person.
The dating one?
Yes.
The plus sizes on on dating apps and how they don't want any hookups.
That's that was the equivalent of putting a match on like a big barrel of gasoline.
Yeah, but I wish we could have I wish we could show the world the stitches we got, because people were like stitching it. And I'm like, oh boy, like this video is not your biggest problem. And like you see these people and they're doing it from their bed laying down. So it's like, wait, you guys couldn't, they're in bed like, this is messed up, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I know what's going on. They're sitting scrolling through like TikTok in their bed. And then like they see something and makes them mad and they do a video response still laying down and then like keep going. It's like, oh, you couldn't even like sit up for like the video that you're going to put on like the internet forever. Like, it's like, oh, this is like, I see what your life is and it's this. And it's like, I don't know if your opinion is like holding any, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I care too much about your opinion.
Well, to focus that thought a little bit,
yeah,
I think that people are on TikTok looking to be offended. I think that's what Tyler's trying to get at a little bit.
Yeah. Definitely not just super mean and bitter as a person. Definitely what he's saying.
But yeah, it is interesting, like the reaction. Somebody actually stitched us and then somebody stitched the stitch. So it was like Inception, but for stitching. And that video got like 5 or 6 million views. It was insane. Like just like the reactions from the reactions are going viral. So that's kind of cool to see. But yeah, that's the other thing to keep in mind. Obviously that like when we were on YouTube posting stuff, we got 0 comments, maybe one that said, hey, you guys are cool. And that was like, oh, great. But now that we're getting like millions of views on our videos, there's a lot of like, hey, you guys are great. And then there's a lot of like, you guys suck, like quit, like blah, blah, blah. And I think like, there are people out there that are going to always be looking to be offended. And there's people out there that are going to be looking to like engage. And then, then there's the people in the middle that you're trying to sway. And I think just like getting used to that is like super important and useful, not to like, take it, take it personally.
I remember like, this is a very clear point. I go, I remember like specifically when I was like, I'm going to stop reading these comments, is the same day someone goes, don't quit your day job and then get a real job. 2 different people, same day. Well, which is it? Like, do we have day jobs or not? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, none of these people know anything. They're just like mad at like,
little do they know you have a day job.
Yeah.
And that's why you're so bitter and angry at everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are deep in the comments. You guys understand the comments. You're one with the comments.
Yeah. And now we're tuning them out because it's like, it's hard to keep up with. It's pointless too. It's a waste of like time and energy. Yeah, literally.
If you have 100 positive comments, your brain goes, oh, those are all deserved. And then you see the one negative and you go, how don't they understand this joke? Like, don't they see how great we are? Which is, I scream that at people daily. How don't you see how great I am and we are? Which, people don't seem to like that, but we're going to do us. But yeah, it's a natural thing for your brain just to hate on negative comments. It's just like, you're not used to that kind of critiquing and you just have to get used to it.
Yeah. We kind of kicked off the podcast a little bit too about you talking about going up on stage and showing your creative energy to a live audience and getting live reactions from that. Now, for the longest time, you were posting stuff on the internet and didn't get the traction that you felt like you probably deserved because of all the time and energy that you were putting into it. And now it's happening and you're like, fuck, what are they saying? All right. Like, yeah, there are people that believe in us, but now we got these fuckers over here that are, being fuckers. Get them out of here. They're being annoying but at the same time, that's the energy that's driving the next piece of content for you. At least that's what I'm hearing from you guys. You're like, okay, here's this negative like vibe. Let's unpack this a little bit. Oh, this is that type of person potentially. Here's a skit out of that. So there's always, you're playing the twist on a twist inside your own content machine, which is fucking sick.
Yeah, you've got to figure it out. That is close. And sometimes people will comment like, you should do one like this. And like, we've taken it like once or twice, we've taken people's ideas and like, okay,
Stolen,
yeah, we just stole. Well, they're like, you should do it like this. And it's this top comment. And it's like, well, I mean, I guess if the people are just going to like dish them up, and that's what like, and it has 10,000 likes. It's like, well, maybe that'll get some views if that many people think that video is a funny idea.
And sometimes, you know, the comments are legitimately
And
funny.
yeah, some of them,
Like, they make us
yeah.
laugh. And we're like, all right,
let's go for it. Yeah.
But yeah, I think another thing about the negative comments though, that like as you get older and progress like through whatever you're doing, like sometimes like critiquing is good. It's like how you get better. Like we weren't like when we first started, we weren't like ready to have our videos go viral and stuff. We weren't good enough yet. We needed like critiquing and stuff. I think as you get older though, you realize when people are trying to be like hurtful rather than like something that actually needs to be addressed. So it's like, you know, we take the negative comments and we like use them as motivations. And, you know, we also ask ourselves like, could this be better? Could this be funnier? So, you know, we're constantly trying to get better at what we're doing.
Dude, it's impressive. And I just love the fact that you guys just love it. Like there's nothing that's going to stop you guys from doing this. Maybe just besides yourself. Like there's not, and it's cool how the timeliness of it works out, right? Like, had you guys gone viral and you were 7 dropping the Alien movie, like, you know, you guys could be different people. But you're
right,
and it's a darn shame that it didn't, to be honest.
We wouldn't have been so well adjusted.
But I just like I think it's just so rewarding in general just to be able to, you know, point at something that you've created and call it yours and just share with the world. I think that's just like at the crux of whatever that may be for people. It just, that is, I just think that's like the like the internal utopia for, and especially it's funny with you guys where it's like, it's something so outlandish and something that like, may not always get respected, but like, it's something that just fires you guys up. And that just really fires me up. Cause like, that's what we do on this podcast. It's like, we're on the hunt for just like all these random people around the world. And a lot of them in the Twin Cities on just like people who are just doing cool shit and sharing. And it's just like so fun and rewarding to talk to people like that. And just like have good conversation over it. It's a blast, man.
Yeah. There's no better feeling besides, yanking your crank in front of a bunch of people before you get famous than like being in a theater and showing our work and like we like crack, there's like some joke in the video and like you can feel it through the audience. People are like kind of like don't know how to react and then they just like burst out laughing. It's like this huge like roar of laughter of like,
that's sick.
Oh my God, did these guys like really do this? Like in this video, like did they really put this joke in here? And it's like people are laughing. And I mean, that's an awesome feeling.
So I do have to ask, like, what is kind of the, so where do you guys, like, what are your day jobs? I know you guys alluded to that earlier, but I just like to know kind of where you guys are at currently.
Yeah, I work at a small studio in St. Paul. We shoot and edit commercials, TV commercials, social media videos,
10-4.
Mainly social media videos. And then
and I also work for an advertising agency in the North Loop, and I do all their videos. So motion design, commercials, corporate stuff. So
oh shit, okay. So
yeah, we're literally doing videos all the time, and we actually have webcams set up in our bedrooms. It kind of goes to a private feed, but it basically like 24/7, we're like doing something with video.
Yeah, Truman Show type of OnlyFans type of thing.
Wow.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Sweet.
you guys don't have the webcams where you slide that little plastic piece over the camera. You're keeping that left. That camera is wide open, private feed, jump in.
Take my data, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. I love that.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, I was just curious on like what do you guys kind of envision, or what do you guys want? Like, what do you guys think is next for the content machine? I mean, you guys are like gaining a bunch of traction and stuff. Like, have you thought about like, is this something that could turn into like a full-time gig where you guys are just like doing your crazy bits that you've always dreamed of and getting paid for it? Is that kind of like the goal here, or like where are your guys' heads at on that?
Yeah, I think going off of the people saying quit, we've been doing this for 10 years with no return on any of the time or money or energy investment. And now in the past like 6 months, we've actually started making some money off of it. Not a lot. We can't quite live off of it yet, but we're making some money. And it's like, you guys should quit. It's like, no, we should have quit a long time ago. This is actually the one moment we like shouldn't quit. Like we shouldn't quit now. But we want to, I think, eventually get a sketch comedy TV show. I think that's the end goal. It's kind of hard to monetize this. It's sort of a winner take all thing. You're either like Key and Peele, Dave Chappelle, or you're nobody, or SNL, or you're no one. You know what I mean? And so it's like you have to be like the best, and you get a lot of return, or like you don't get anything. So it's kind of hard to like find like the trajectory. It's very exponential. I don't know exactly. It's like we're here now, and then sketch comedy show question mark in the middle kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think I view it like and we've talked about this before. Like I don't consider us like TikTokers. We don't make like TikToks. We make sketch comedy and we like put it on TikTok as a platform.
Yeah.
So like what I see us doing is like leveraging an audience, and hopefully the next couple of years. And our goal is, I think, like 5 million would be like a great goal for us. So take like 5 million followers, go to a producer, be like, hey, we have a style, we have a show, we have these characters,
Couple scripts,
we have a built-in audience. Like let's do something. So that's how I see it, leveraging it into something else, basically.
Right.
Got it. I think that's brilliant. And you know, we relate to you guys tenfold in that manner. Deck and I, full-time jobs. We've been after this gig for now 5 years, and we're starting to see a little bit of success, not from what what we've been posting, but we are now producers for other people. So we've learned the system, and people are hiring us to produce their stuff. That's how we decided to make add a little bit of monetization to our game. Although it's just increased our workflow like fucking tenfold, and we're not making money to where we should be going full time. So we're in that same position where it's like, okay, there's a couple dollars here. This is the wrong time to leave the day jobs. But at the same time, we love what we do so much that turning it into a day job would backfire at this point in time, because now we're scraping by trying to turn our creative energy into monetization, and that would just kill the whole machine in general. And then when you talk about what your idea with TikTok, that is 100% how everyone should be looking at it. TikTok is there's no better platform to reach new people than TikTok. Their algorithm is perfect for everyone to go viral. Everyone's going to experience some sort of virality in their lifetime because of TikTok, if they want it. And it's what you have behind the curtain as your foundation to redirect that audience.
Right.
For us, it's podcasting. So we just post podcast clips onto TikTok, and then they bring it back to a podcast. We have Straight Candid under our umbrella of production, and there are these two girls in their mid-20s talking about lady parts in their mid-20s and dating. And
many
what's the name of this one?
It's called Straight Candid.
Straight Candid.
Okay, thank you.
I was bookmarking that.
And they've figured out how to get sponsors on their podcast, and we're behind the scenes making everything happen. And that's the way we've done it. But damn it, is it hard to monetize a creative art? So we definitely relate 100% with what you guys have just described.
Yeah, and it's interesting hearing you talk about, because I'm assuming like podcasting full time would be your guys' dream with like sponsorships and stuff, and like your day jobs probably aren't similar, but this thing is like a step. It's like a little off, and that's how we've kind of viewed it, as like, you know, do we want to be making like ads? You know, not really. We want to be making like sketch and like TV, but the ads are like, it's like a step closer. We're still making like videos. And you know, I know people who like, they go to LA and they they bartend trying to act. And it's like, it's just a paycheck. And I'm not knocking like the hustle, but if they could somehow do like some weird type of like acting or, you know, something closer to it that they're always doing, because we're at least flexing the muscle every day, editing and occasionally shooting and stuff. And it's like, again, it's way different content, but some of the technical skills translate.
Right. I think, when it comes to monetizing our stuff, like on our sketch side, I mean, our content's super anti-brand. So right there, it's already hard. It's super hard to monetize that, because we're usually hating on brands. We've done like a few where we worked with some people, and like, by the way, I can't believe people pay us to make videos. We did one where it was like for an app, and our video was like talking about like Ronald. The video talked about like me telling Tyler that like I walked in on Ronald McDonald like fucking my wife, And by the way, there was like Grimace was also there. So it was like an orgy of like McDonald's mascots, if you know all of them. And then we dropped like the app name at the end of the skit. I don't think people even knew it was an ad. But, you know, I feel like that's kind of how you have to do it on TikTok. And they paid us money to do this, which was incredible. But like for us on the content side, it's like it's super hard for us to monetize anything because we make fun of everything. So it's like it's not like we are the type to like make a t-shirt, because like we make fun of people that make t-shirts. And like I know, and it's different for everybody. It's not like that's a bad thing to do. That's just like our personal brand. But then on another level, like on a business level, we've also been able to use our like sketch comedy to actually get like real clients, like, and do actual, and that's what Tyler was kind of referencing. Like we've done like TV commercials with people that go, oh, you guys are super funny and I want a funny ad. I want like a funny social media ad. And they kind of like, we can rein it in because obviously our backgrounds are like in advertising. So we understand what's up. So it's like, if it's outside of the content machine, then we can use our like experience and stuff to make like these fun videos for clients, which is cool. We like doing that. But I think at the end of the day, the thing we want to do the most is just our own sketch comedy. So that's kind of like how we're bridging the gap, using what we're doing right now, but kind of using it still in like a business setting to like help these other brands, and kind of like behind the scenes, nobody knows that we're doing it. And then hopefully one day, like once again, just leverage what we have in the audience to like be able to do like a show, which is obviously like how you monetize a TV show has already been laid out for like years now.
Yeah, that fucking rocks. That honestly, that rocks. I know it takes a ton of fucking work, and Deck, I know you're about to say something, but I just want to say like that rocks. That is so impressive. The whole circle of it, from creating your own shit to leveraging it into other jobs, back into your full-time job, whatever it may be. It's not many people are actually doing that, and I know like day in day out it's a fucking grind, but it's impressive. So mad props. It's awesome to hear another creator doing something like that, because we fucking are drained constantly in this cycle. So there's life, you know. There's other people. There's life.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, for all the kids listening with the divorcing parents and stuff who are down. Yeah, it's a grind. It's 100% grind. You got to stick with it. It's not easy. Like, you know, it's.
Well, one thing going off of kind of what you guys are saying is like, you might as well do what you love. You know, it's very cliche, but do what you want, because you don't know how the landscape is going to shift. Like if we would have given up on the sketches, and because TikTok all of a sudden came around, and it's like, oh, this was like made for us. It felt like it's like, oh, this is like a platform finally for us where we can have like someone at least like comment on our stuff. And you don't know how it's going to shift in the next 5 years. And maybe like the 3D artist guys. I mean, yeah, Beeple.
I can speak to that. If you guys are familiar with Beeple, he was actually GQ's Man of the Year. He's a 3D designer. I was following him before the NFT things, but basically like, I think it's like, let's say like 15 years ago, he wanted just to get noticed. He was just trying to get a job. So he started to do one a days. So basically a one a day is you do one 3D render a day. And he just started to do that every day. And he's been doing it for like about like 15 years.
It's like 3D art.
It's just 3D art. You see it on Instagram. Sometimes it's animated. Sometimes it's just a still. Well, then I don't know if you guys are familiar with the NFT things, but basically it's digital crypto art. You buy it. Well, he made something like, let's say like $150 million at least selling his art
in like 6 months. After doing it for like 13 years with nothing.
Yeah, that's what 13 years.
So it's like, you never know how it can change. So you might as well not give up, and you might as well do what you want, because maybe it'll come to you. I know it's kind of like, that's the question mark. And like,
yeah. And that's kind of what we talked about. It's like, we were making like short form comedy. Great. It wasn't doing very well on YouTube. You know, at the time YouTube wanted longer content, and we were doing shorter content. And we're like, okay, we're going exactly the opposite direction. And then we saw TikTok, and I was like, oh, short like form videos that just need to be like attention grabbing. That's like right up our alley. And it just, yeah, sometimes the market isn't there for you yet. You actually have to wait for the market. So I think in that way, like, you know, you can't give up even when it seems like maybe you should, or it'd be easier at least.
Right. And I think like just going right off that, you know, it really speaks to just like longevity, and the fact that like you said it perfectly, Tyler, just like do something that you have fun doing, and you'll never have to worry. Like you'll be able to adjust to the landscape as it comes. And that's exactly what we've done. It's obviously working great for you guys. And you got to get creative in the space. Just when someone tells you can't say, follow me on Twitter or I'll kill you, like you have to pivot and do something more creative. Just like when we got the cease and desist from Coachella, it forced us to pivot and be creative. And I think that's like kind of where we're at from like a business sense, where it's like, okay, like we obviously like producing other people's podcasts or producing other people's content. It's like you guys have to be a little bit creative on how you make the money. You obviously are going to have to give something up to get something, and you know it's obviously not like exactly where you want to be, but it's a step closer, and it actually gives you a different perspective on maybe something else that might work, and then you pivot and go there, and it's way easier, and you have way more fun making money. Like that's kind of where we're at right now too. It's just like taking the step towards something that makes more sense and that could help us and get to where we want to be. That is just like that intention in itself is just, that's the creative process. That's what matters. But I got to ask you guys, like, what is in your back pocket when you're in these scenarios where it's like you have to pivot or you aren't feeling like great about the sketch comedy, or you're in a tough situation? Like, what's kind of something that you guys rely on that help you come out on top?
I can start,
Please.
Yeah, I think the power of us is like my back pocket is Tyler. It's like
Nice.
It's something that takes.
Now I gotta say it. Now,
Yeah,
if
now
I
you
don't
gotta
say that,
me.
like,
Yeah, now you gotta say me. But
A lot
no,
of pressure.
seriously, I think like if it wasn't for having like Tyler there to bounce things off of, I mean, it's so hard to do it on your own. And obviously, you guys know because there's two of you. It's like we can lean on each other, and we've known each other since like fourth grade. We've grown up, so we like trust each other. We know each other, and just having somebody there to like, if you're having a bad day, being like, no, dude, like we're gonna kill it, and like here's a couple of reasons why, and just like to keep you going for sure.
Yeah, and I'll do an adjustment on what he's saying, but yeah, Mozzie, and it's like because there'll be like there were a couple of moments, and probably in the past 5 years that were like dark moments like in my life, and I was like, well, at least like if they cancel us and I get fired, at least like Mozzie will like be around and maybe he'll be employed and I can just like sleep on his couch and like clean his room for like money or something. You know what I mean? Like something like that can happen. And like we'll get through, and I know we've like floated each other money a little more this way than this way, but and pinches, especially when you're younger. And if you want to go fast, what's that saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And like the way we've been doing it, it's certainly not the fast way. I'll say that.
But
Well,
it's
I will say that we do feel like we're doing it the right way. Like step by step, mastering each interval, if you will, just getting better. And like we wouldn't have been able to do this when we were 22. Like we wouldn't have been able to be this like devoted to shoot this much, edit this much. I mean, it is literally like another full-time job. And it's like, when I was 22, I wanted to be like drunk driving in Stearns County, as we said, it's like, that's what was fun to do. And it's like, now that we're older, we're like a lot more buttoned down. It's like, okay, let's make TikTok videos. We have to be adults. We have to be adults now. We have to make these TikTok videos for 14-year-old children to laugh at, basically, and influence their decision-making.
There is something really funny about like really committing to TikTok at like our age. It's like, that is like a joke in itself.
100%. I mean,
funny to me.
It's great. I mean, Tyler he's got a perm. I mean, Tyler.
This is a perm. Yeah, I got
Tyler
a perm.
got a perm for TikTok. It's not like
This isn't, my hair's super straight.
Yeah. Like Tyler doesn't
Just like me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Tyler doesn't want to have to get a perm, for 3 hours every 6 months. I mean, that's tough on the schedule. I mean, if you look at our schedule, it is, I mean, 3 hours every 6 months, that's tough. Okay. But he's sacrificing.
I can sneak it in. Yeah.
And that's what they don't realize what's tough with like being a white male comedian in 2021. Those type of sacrifices, it just really gets you.
Yeah. You really got to peacock in every way, shape or form. I mean, go and get the Jerry curls going.
100%.
It's mandatory. I mean, you got to flex it.
Exactly.
We were born, middle class, white, male,
generic, Midwestern.
We're as low as you can get on the totem pole. So like
boring as you can be.
Tyler's going through things, trying to be like, okay, maybe I'll perm my hair. I'm I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of lacking. I need to get a perm or something, or like shave my head. Just something crazy.
Yeah.
Get a couple tattoos or something.
You can go bald.
Yeah.
You can go bald at 25.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
We're just creating content out here at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, 100%.
That is content. That is content.
Andrew went bald. You got a perm. I have a mullet and mustache. I mean, we do it for the love of the game, dude. And I know we're embarrassed to say we're on TikTok, but God damn it, it's made us who we are.
100%. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, man, that's part of like comedy and life and just like putting yourself out there. I mean, you have to a little bit. And the other thing is you can't take yourself too seriously. I mean, though the people we make fun of are people that take themselves too seriously. I mean, they're so easy to like rattle and get to. It's like, man, just like relax. You know, I always say like the world keeps spinning. Like that's the best part. That's the greatest part about like people, if they're like positive, negative comments, like blah, 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 screaming into the echoes of the internet, the earth keeps spinning. The problem, like that's not going to actually do anything. It's like, we might not be doing anything either, positive or negative, but like, we're not kidding ourselves that we're like changing anything.
But you guys aren't stopping us.
Like,
yeah.
Exactly.
I gotta ask, when we initially reached out, or when you guys agreed to come on the Backpocket, was there a conversation that was had that involved, we're gonna get these guys? Like, I see what they're doing, we're gonna get them, because I feel like you have a bit of a I gotcha type mentality with the comedy, right? So I'm curious, coming on the podcast, was there any kind like, well, these two white guys, Twin Cities based, and we're gonna get them?
It felt too close to home a little bit. I was like, oh, that's kind of our story. We don't want to make fun of that. Exactly.
Yeah, there was a part of the one thing we talked about was like, should we just be characters for like the first 5 minutes?
We did talk about
and be dressed up, but then we're like, just because this is our first like I guess podcast, and we were like, should we do something like crazy, you know? But then we're like,
I think people already think we're crazy. So it's like that might have confirmed it for a lot of people. But I think we looked at you guys. I mean, it's hard to hate on people that are doing something that they're passionate about. And I think like, although we do gotcha a lot, and maybe, you know, I don't know if I necessarily look at it like that, but I think we leave people alone that are really like, I don't know, doing their own thing and they're really passionate about. And it's like, we even see things that, you know, we don't necessarily like necessarily, like somebody has like a passion project. And if you're listening and you have a passion project, we love yours. We're not talking about you, but you know, it's maybe not what we think is great, but we always say like, at least they're doing it. Right. And we always say like, hey, at least they're doing it. Like, how can we hate? Like, you got up, did something that you didn't have to do, put yourself out there. At the end of the day, like, you have to respect that.
Yeah. Cause I mean, it's again, a cliche thing, but you're not like there forever. You're like in a trajectory of being somewhere. And maybe that person is just like at a certain level. So yeah, I never try to knock the hustle, no matter like who it is or what they're doing.
So I think,
you know, Mao Zedong.
I was gonna say before you get into Mao Zedong, very familiar with him and love his work. Can't say enough good things about Mao.
Good dynasty.
Good dynasty. I think with our protection of the hustle opens the door to create something that beats up the hustle, like something that gets the gotcha at the hustle. Because it's a common thing to see your friends start something new for the first time, and then it's also like a common thing to just be like, oh man, like, do I tell them it's a terrible idea, or like, you know, there's always like that kind of moment. So I would challenge you guys, like, come up with some sort of sketch comedy where it's like someone's like really passionate about starting this thing, but it's so obviously bad that it's not a thing that's gonna work. Something like, I don't know, take it for what it is, but I do actually think that to challenge you guys, I guess, on it in the sense of like, you can make fun of fucking anything, dude. And obviously it's easy to make fun of the comfortable people and the people who take themselves too seriously. But like, I bet there's something else where we could dive into that's not as easy, but could force our hand a little bit into being creative.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think too, like, we're trying to generate so many ideas so quickly that sometimes, you know, like those type of ideas, which are great, they're a little like maybe like further between. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, I think like it's hard to have like Key and Peele is a great like example of this, where it's amazing like how many quality skits those guys have done for the last 10 years. Like, it's incredible. And I think like, you know, we always say like we're trying to get better, and we're, you know, we're not like there yet. And I think like that type of comedy and that type of consistency and finding those like great ideas like that, where it's like, simple and like, you know, and just like a great, perfectly said thing. It's hard to do. So it's like, yeah, that's something we definitely like are continually pushing ourselves towards, to just evolve our comedy as much as possible.
Totally.
I love it.
And go ahead, Andrew.
I got a question back. Yeah, with the evolution of your comedy throughout the last 10 years, I'm curious from your guys' perspective, what has been like an average quality? And I want you guys to look at it from the standpoint of this is something that you care about. It's an attribute or habit, something you guys deeply care about and we're trying to get better at every single day. That's how we look at the average quality. So I'm not sure who wants to kick it off, but Tyler and Maz, what is your average quality?
I bet so many things are hitting you right now. You don't even know what
I'm overloaded.
Overloaded.
My height, I'm 5'9". That's the average height of an American male. I feel like that's kind of been a thing.
How have you been working on it?
I've been getting the length.
How have you gotten
No,
better at it,
let me
dude?
think. You know, I'm just either like, I'm sort of like really great at something or really bad at it. Sort of like, you know, someone who might have some sort of spectrum thing. And so I seriously think I might. So, you know, it's hard to say like what is an average thing, man.
Holy shit. I will step in.
Please.
First of all, incredible. Great try at that one.
Tyler's average
like,
quality
me,
thinking on his toes.
Yeah.
And not
See, below average,
quick
though.
finger.
Way below.
Tyler's
Yeah.
average quality trying to be funny and getting canceled.
Yeah, we did a TikTok live and we had to stop doing it quickly because I was forcing Tyler to quickly improv and it was getting dark fast. So we had to stop doing that. But I think for me, like if you look at our early stuff to our stuff now, like for me, Tyler has gotten so much better at writing and that's something I know I need to improve on every day. And like I definitely lean on Tyler for like that. I think like we used to just improv everything. We still like to, and you get some like magical moments for sure. But I think like having that structure of like having stuff written out and having some lines in mind has really helped us. And I think a lot of our earlier stuff, people used to make comments like, yeah, it's funny, but it doesn't really have like an ending. You know, it doesn't have that button, doesn't have that twist. And I think that's something we've worked really hard on. So I think like, I know for me, it's like working on the story, working on like good writing and just like making sure when you show up to shoot, you have a plan. Cause like sometimes it's just me and Tyler, but like sometimes we have a lot of people and it's like you need, you know, then you're directing, you're kind of like doing everything. You're directing, shooting and acting. And it's like you need that structure there so people know what they're doing. So I think my average quality, writing, comedy. Tyler, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. My average quality, I think, is after some thought, having fun. I think I have fun sometimes, but sometimes I like will get in my head or something or like put pressure on something unnecessarily or like
Organized objects by color and size.
Yeah. And not like enjoy the ride maybe as much. And I don't know if it's a genetic thing. My mom is like always has to like be doing something and always working and has been that way. And I don't know if like that gene was lying dormant in me until recently and it like triggered and now I'm like, but you know, like
you were born to work like in a field, I feel like just grind. Like Tyler was meant to just be a grinder. Like he would have made a great peasant.
Well, exactly. And you know, my ancestors are from, you know, Norway and Finland, but I'm tan. So, you know, like my ancestors were out working at like the farms and stuff. And it was so shitty. They're like, we got to get to America where like our work will at least be like rewarded. I think that's kind of how, and that gene is still like deep in me.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah.
They did all that work so you could make TikToks. Like I think about that all the time. I think about my grandpa struggling. My dad used to tell me how he used to go out and hunt for rabbits. It was during the Great Depression because our family was so poor. And it's like, thank you, Grandpa, for catching that rabbit. So now I can make 60-second TikToks with Tyler. It's like, I appreciate the sacrifice. So it's important to remember those.
Eating around like the pellets and stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the coolest part about this, it's a legacy rap. I mean, I'm so thankful for my grandfather working the steel mills in Pittsburgh.
There we go.
You know, grinding hard-nosed Italian, coming home to feed 7 kids, you know, handmade raviolis because, you know, everything's got to be pure Italian. And it allowed me to, you know, have a Zoom podcast where we're talking about making sure our camera angles are looking, we're looking at the camera and not looking over down to the side. So thank you, Grandpa, for working so hard.
Yeah, I think me and Tyler actually talk about it. And our comedy kind of comes from that spot too of like, I'm always like things used to be way worse, and things are really bad basically everywhere else. So it's like, we get to do what we love, and it's like, our content, some people, whether they like it or hate it, it's like, at the end of the day, like everybody's doing like all right, in America, at least. Most people are doing okay. Cause like 100 years ago or like 1,000 years ago, we would have like been hunting on the plains, eating like raw meat and stuff like that.
There's nothing but poverty. Now there are some people who aren't in poverty, and that's at least better. Yeah. And hopefully one day everyone won't be.
Right. That's about as positive as you'll see Tyler. So that was really great positivity from Tyler there.
Snaps for Tyler.
Yeah, snaps for Tyler. Kids,
all right, Dex, your grandpa. Now we need to hear about your grandpa now.
So it's getting dark. Never met my grandpa. Not sure what the hell that guy was doing, but man, that guy sure as hell put on for his city. I was thinking of it more of the sense of when I'm a grandpa and how my grandkids, if I live that long, are gonna be like, what a fucking idiot. This guy was on Earth making TikToks, and now we're sitting here on Mars. Like Earth, they're like, Earth was such a failed concept, and I'm so glad that we got out of there. Yeah, they're like, interplanetary travel's way fucking cooler, and I can't believe these guys were so small-minded to stay on this shithole of a planet. Not only that, they stayed in the United States. So it's like, we're putting in the hours now, and we don't even know it.
It's like, Grandpa, like, Grandpa, I bet you've only had sex with a human, you pussy. Like, damn. These kids are cold-blooded, literally cold-blooded. We had to, like, genetically form them so they could live on Mars. So, yeah.
Well, it depends what part of the world you're from, because it might not always be human. But sorry, let's move on.
That's my wife you're talking about.
Yeah, it is interesting, like, to think when we're older, it's like, I was like, Grandpa, you used to like make TikToks with like some guy with a perm. It's like, yeah, it's like, that's going to be a crazy thing about, like, are we going to continue the cycles of like, like abuse,
failure,
like
maybe
pass it on to the next generation? It's hard to say, like, probably, why not?
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting to look back on it. That is like a thing that we talk about too. Just like you could die tomorrow because like somebody throws a rock over an overpass and like hits you driving and you crash and die. It's like, you don't know how it's going to end, is my point to that. But like, you might as well do something you at least enjoy. And then like, when you die, like, you can at least be like, damn, at least I like enjoyed what I did, instead of like, worked for 40 years at a corporate office to raise these like grandkids that are on Mars, like making fun of me now. Like, what the hell is that?
Right. And speaking of that, what is your guys' future on Mars?
Oh, great question. Like, what would we be doing if we were on Mars right now?
Or in the future.
Or just in the future. Okay.
Even right now.
Yeah, I think our future, at least like how I see our future on Mars, is just having the first Martian television show, comedy show, sketch comedy, and people from all over the universe just tune in and watch two human comedians, doing their thing.
Going off that, a reality show like Big Brother, but like for the Mars people. So we just live stream it like 24/7, Truman Show style, back to Earth. People can tune in and like, oh, like the Martians are like, doing this or whatever, and it's like this drama. I mean, that would be a great show.
Are you on
I would watch that. I think I'd like to produce it.
Okay, so you'd be a producer on Mars.
Producing the show, sending it back to Earth.
Producer of trash reality TV show for
Mars, for Martians. You would have to watch that though, because you're like, well, I got to see like what's up with like, those Martian women. Like, you never know what they could be up to.
It's reality TV.
True. You don't ever know what they could be up to. That's so beautifully put, Tyler. Like, seriously, like, dude, the kids listening, just beautiful.
All I can say, one word: inspiring, inspiration, boundless. I think we just talked like maybe 5 minutes ago about not making the same mistake twice. This might be a good example.
Sure.
Yeah. Same mistake, Tyler thinking again? Was that a mistake?
Yeah.
Trying to quickly think of an answer.
Yeah.
I love it though. I think just the reality TV show is gonna hit, and showing the reality of Mars could be bleak. There could be death involved, and I think Andrew and I alluded to this on our last podcast when we were talking about Mars. This is a new this is a new question we ask on our podcast now. We've completely pivoted to this as a staple question of our podcast. Phenomenal answers, fellas.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Both equally well thought out answers, I'm sure.
For sure, well thought out. I mean, the coolest part is all 4 of us are on that first shuttle to Mars because we all got shit to do. You know, we got to get this stuff done. It's in our future.
We have families to feed here.
We have families to feed, man. We have legacies to leave. And that makes me ask this next question. We thrive on bouncing off the next guest. We dig down the rabbit holes of like Lisa Evanson, for example. She's been on the show twice, I believe. And she's helped us get a handful of other guests. I'm curious from your guys' end, being in the industry for 10 years, who do you think we should have on that on the podcast? Or even take this a step further, is there someone out there that is looking to have their own podcast that is in the creative world that you guys are like, those fuckers could use a podcast, but they definitely don't have the bandwidth to do it? Insert us.
Yeah. I think one person for sure, Kellen Witchen would be an interesting person to interview. He's a like local DP who cinematographer. Yes. Thank you. He's doing really great things, super talented, working on like some big projects. He's currently shooting like a small indie feature in Hopkins. He's worked on some bigger projects. Very, very interesting guy. Went to St. John's. He was going to go pre-med, decided he didn't want to do that. Decided to do, be part of the creative process. I think he would have some great like stories and insights for you guys. Who else?
I think there's this guy, a director I worked for once named Michael Campa, and he's like, I don't know, early 30s. He's a younger guy, but he's directed some movies, and he might be interesting to pick his brain and see like, how do you get that first like director role on a movie? Because I actually asked him for like a beer one time at a brewery and asked him that question. I was like, what's the process of that? That's more of like a filmmaking, like film specific thing. But I'm scrolling through my Instagram, but that's like the first guy I can think of. And Kellen would be good too. Yeah, he's a great DP. He also is really good at cinematography on top of being great at DPing.
Dual threat, of course.
Yeah, dual threat for sure. Another person who could be interesting is my boss actually at my agency, Grant Smith. He worked, I think, about 20 years for McCann in New York. He's like based, and he has just like a ton of really cool, like fun stories of like Mad Men type craziness, and also just a very creative, very insightful person who's worked on some huge projects that you for sure have seen. I won't go into what they are, but they're like nationally ran commercials that have won a ton of awards. So he's like, as terms of like a creative thinker in Minneapolis, he's probably like on top of the list of like creative people that we have in our city.
That is awesome.
And then I'll do one last one before
and almost won
about
4 times.
But he would be a really interesting guy, actually. He's like, I think what they're doing with that festival is like genius, and they were making money with it before COVID. I'm not sure the situation now, but they were starting to sell out one of these theaters, and $10 a ticket, like 300 seats, something like that. They're making some money, and he's a really interesting, eccentric kind of guy, and really like a genuine guy too.
That is awesome. Yeah, I mean, challenge accepted across the board. That's what we need to be doing here. Like the Backpocket is tapping into as many creative energies as possible. I know how you mentioned earlier, Tyler, like the city there's some dryness to it, right? It's redundant. There's thoroughbred Fortune 500 companies in this city. Like that's their mainstay, the General Mills, the Targets of the world, the 3Ms. Like that's why the city is here. But there's some cool shit that's going on underground that we need to continue to bring light to. And that's our goal. Continue to hype up those type of people because the energy's there. It's just not seen all the time.
Yeah. If that's who you want, then of those ones I suggested, Terry is the guy for that. He's very underground, and it's like it feels like he's at like the head of like an artistic movement. That's what it feels like to me. And like, I've never like experienced, I don't know what that is supposed to feel like, but it's like, oh, this guy is like, this is like almost like a movement of some sort, in my opinion.
Perfect.
Dude.
Challenge accepted. Consider Terry on the podcast.
Dude, I love that. And anybody named Terry nowadays, I mean, God, that is fun. Like, I love that there's like viral videos that define people's names. Terry is 1,000,000,000% one of those.
Yeah, Terry is definitely one of the most interesting people I've ever seen and met. So
cool.
He'd be good for sure.
That's exciting. Cool. All right, so final question. You guys have been phenomenal guests on the Backpocket here. The interns, I love that you guys picked up that our listeners are called interns, marketing interns. They listen, they spread the word of the good word of average just by word of mouth, and therefore they're working for us in the marketing department, man.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead. I was gonna say, I think
He's frozen. All sorts of whack.
Am I frozen or am I here, dude? Sometimes I just freeze just to curb check myself. But anyways, last question is basically from the time you guys woke up today to the time we're recording now, which is roughly 8 o'clock your guys' time. Tough. That just sucks ass. But anyways, what have you guys learned today?
I'll go first here, even though these moments have been beautiful with Tyler going first. I learned Tyler is terrible at thinking on his feet. I always kind of, thought of him as a quick thinker and quick-witted, but after seeing his performance on today's podcast, I kind of have a whole different perspective on it. I actually think he might be really dangerous to ask a question quickly. Like, some people's feelings could get hurt. Some kids could get hurt. They might hear some things you're not supposed to hear. So I learned something new about somebody I've known since 4th grade, which doesn't happen every day. So truly honored to be a part of this experience.
Yeah, you don't want to know what's going on up in here.
No, it's like a hurricane.
The thing I learned today is that Machine Gun Kelly tickets are really expensive.
Wow. Dropping knowledge.
Yep.
How expensive are we talking?
Is he in town?
Yeah, he is tonight. Hundreds of dollars. Way more than I was expecting. But so he's popular.
Expensive is,
expensive 20, 30 bucks.
Yeah.
20, 30 bucks. It's like, geez, I can't afford this.
Like $5 general admission. Come on.
Yeah.
Who can afford that?
Yeah, seriously. I live in St. Paul, for crying out loud,
Oh, dude, you guys have been an absolute blast. And I actually do. I was just thinking about this, about Tyler not being good at thinking on his feet. Like, really excited to listen back to this and maybe just create a little compilation of all of all the times he answered first, and just seeing kind of the review. Maybe we do a little bit of film study. So
oh my God.
Yes.
I will send you that. I will make sure I get that in your inbox here when we release this podcast, which will be
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
I think you have some serious viral potential in those answers. Those should set the internet on fire for sure. So, and that's what Tyler's good at. He's good at
memorable.
9/11
is memorable, but doesn't mean it's good. It's just memorable.
Yeah. Are you comparing that to your answers?
Just saying, never forget. It's like
right.
That's like built in.
Almost like building. You're almost like building 7. It's like you weren't even like, nobody even was really like prompting you to go on those tangents. You just kind of collapsed.
No
on your
plane
own.
hit me.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What's
Hey,
going
don't look into
don't
that.
Look into those.
Yeah.
And there are conspiracy theorists out there that jet fuel does melt the steel beams, and we're still wondering what's going on in Tyler's head.
Right.
Speaking of, like, where were you going to go with the Mao Zedong take? I still want to circle back on this.
Well, we were talking about people who commit, or what are we talking about? I can't remember. What sparked that?
Okay.
Who is the guy that you're talking about?
Mao Zedong, communist leader of
the people.
60s to 70s China.
Yes.
As the listeners know.
And killed about 45 million Chinese people in about 5 years.
I think maybe it was do what you love, because you never know when a communist leader will take over the country and kill 45 million people.
Yeah. Bingo. Thank you, Mike. See, this is why I got Mike in my back pocket.
Why we work well together.
Yeah, he's in the back pocket to help focus some of the ideas.
Yeah, that maybe is an average quality for you. You're not the best focuser. You're kind of all over the place.
I'm a bad focuser. That's the thing. It's like on Madden, when you have the attributes, there is nothing in the middle. It's cranked or just not there.
Yeah,
you know,
back to the cranking. But yeah,
cranking.
I think focusing Tyler, I think sometimes he can be a little bit all over the place. I think sometimes he's high and I'm low and we try to meet in the middle, which is sometimes reality. And I think, you know, Tyler will be thinking of these crazy ideas like Verified, where he's putting poster, you know, he's like running ads all over the city for no reason. And, you know, I'm just, I'm usually in awe, honestly. I'm usually like mouth agape, just like frozen, like, oh my God, like this is the guy I met in the sandbox. Like, yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, 2 kids in a sandbox, you know what I'm saying?
2 kids in the sandbox.
2 kids in
playing
the sandbox, yeah.
We're just
Dominating the sandbox.
Yeah, we still go back to that sandbox too to make friends, but the kids are like really mean to us now that we're so much older than them. But
yeah,
guess who can beat up who? Yeah, we can put a whooping on those kids now.
You guys have come.
Tyler mainly does that.
You guys have come a long way, to say the least. Still getting bullied in the sandbox, but nonetheless, you guys can whoop that ass now, and I think that's what the listeners and the interns should be taking away.
If you would have told our parents that we'd be 2 semi-functional adults at the ripe young age of 28, I don't think they would have believed you. They said those guys would probably just like be living together, making little videos with no jobs. We got jobs for now until we get fired. So we're doing all right.
Exactly, man. Well, hey, I gotta say, you guys have been an absolute thrill to have on the show. Podcast is going viral. That's obvious at this point. And hope to like create with you guys soon. Honestly, like I'd love to meet you guys in person at some point. Obviously, when I'm back in town. But that was sick, man.
Yeah. We should get you guys in a guest feature in a sketch when you're both around.
Yes.
Yes.
Down.
Yeah,
That would be fun. That'd be fun.
100%.
4 white guys coming up with some creativity and some creative energy.
Exactly.
The different perspectives we'll be able to pull on will be big.
Just
for
perplexing.
sure.
God, we're gonna be pulling people at all angles. But yeah, no, thank you guys for coming on.
Maybe
Appreciate
something
it.
about, you know,
Yes.
yeah,
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
we appreciate it, guys.
Dope.
It's a wrap.